So you're thinking of buying a home here in the Sarasota area, and you're really focused on resale and not so much new construction, but you really don't know where to look because so many people say, Jill, I feel like there's like a million little neighborhoods everywhere. I just don't know what to think about. So in today's video, I want to share with you one neighborhood that I think is really fantastic because it's centrally located and there's a lot of character there, literally and figuratively. So in today's video, I want to share with you a community here in Sarasota called Sherwood Forest. First, let's talk about the homes themselves. In Sherwood Forest, there's around 155 homes, and they were all really built in the 80s, a couple like 1990, 91, but really they're very much 1980s homes and have a lot of those characteristics, such as having a vaulted ceiling in the living area or the main area, but the rest of the rooms, particularly the bedrooms, are going to be like a standard height, like what I have right here, and not super high, but at least when you come in, it typically does have a nice, more open feel to them. And then speaking of an open floor plan, some people, I feel like everybody's kind of got a little different definition of an open floor plan. Somebody thinks that open floor plan is just where it's open. You walk in, it's kitchen, dining room, living room, all together. Other people, as long as it's not a galley kitchen, things aren't closed off completely, then they're happy with that. So I think that these homes are kind of in between those two, where the kitchens are not totally cut off, but yet it's not blasted open like you see in a lot of new homes today. Overall, all the homes in Sherwood Forest are 3 to 4 bedrooms. There's a couple that are 2 bedroom and a couple that are 5 bedroom, but overall, let's call it 3 to 4 bedrooms. In terms of size, they really go from a modest 1,700 all the way up to a 4,000 square foot home. I really like the lots in this neighborhood. They are a little bit larger, between like 10,000 and 25,000 square feet, and some are even much larger than that. And of course, people always say, Jill, I don't know what you mean when you say 10,000 square feet. So 10,000 square feet is just under like a quarter of an acre, right around there. And then they're all the way up to just over a half an acre. So it's kind of nice because you don't feel like you're on top of each other. And really, even if your lot isn't one of the bigger lots, if you're next to another home that does have a larger lot, it does give you a little bit more elbow room and makes you feel like you've got a bit more space. Now, of course, if we're talking about the 1980s, we're talking older roofs and things like that. And it's even to the point where maybe it's on its second round of needing a new roof. Because let's say it was built in 85 and there's a new roof put on in 2005. That means that this current roof is, let's say 13 years old. No, 18 years old. Wow. So that can really, you might be looking at needing another new roof on some of these homes sooner than later if the current owners haven't replaced them yet. And of course, in these homes, you're going to see all different levels of updating. And actually at this point too, with a home built at this age, you might see where the kitchen was updated back in the 90s, early 2000s, and maybe the bathrooms were updated more recently. So you're going to see a couple different generations, I guess, for lack of a better word, of updating. You can almost kind of guess like what time frame they did the updates based on the materials used and the style. And one other thing that's really important for you to know is that some of the homes are block construction, solid block, and other homes are wood frame. So it's definitely something to keep in mind. Some people are a little cautious about wood frame with our termites here. In the end, honestly, if you keep things treated and keep an eye on things, you should be okay. But for some people, that is kind of a deal killer. And please know, just because you have block doesn't mean you're never going to have termites, because the exterior is block, but the interior is still frame. So I've definitely seen homes where there's been termites on the inside with a block home. So please don't think that having a block home is going to be a recipe for never having termites in the property. Number 2, let's talk about now the location and just kind of the community itself. I really like this location of Sherwood Forest. It's basically at the corner of Bay Vista and McIntosh. There's actually this little retention pond area there that's owned by the county that's directly on the corner, but you can access Sherwood Forest off of Bay Vista and then also off of McIntosh Road. So what makes that really kind of a sweet spot is if you just head west down Bay Vista, you are going to almost kind of run into downtown Sarasota, which is really nice. You're closer to Lido Beach, but Siesta Key is just not too much farther south. So that location is good. And then just to the east is I-75. For the most part, you shouldn't hear any I-75 noise, but you're very close to it at Fruitville and Bee Ridge Road. What also I like about it is, yes, you can jump on I-75 to go north or south. McIntosh right there takes you pretty far south as well. There's different ways to zigzag around if you need to get down farther south. And then also Honore is just to the east of this neighborhood, and Honor Way is going to take you all the way up to University, as does Cattleman, which is just a little bit further east as well. But Honor Way will also take you all the way down to Nokomis, Venice area. So some people who don't really care to hop on 75 so much, there's some really nice alternative routes that you can take from this neighborhood. So I think that that's definitely a plus. Now, in my intro, I said that this neighborhood has a lot of character, literally and figuratively, and here's why. The name of the community, as I've said, is Sherwood Forest. So this is what's kind of cute. The names of the streets are things like Sherwood Forest, Robin Hood, Friar Tuck, Maid Marian, Little John. I almost said Peter Pan. No Peter Pan. But all the little characters there from Sherwood Forest. And so it's kind of charming, all of that. There's a lot of mature trees in this area. There's this cute little bridge. So it's very charming. Like I said, there's some character to it. It doesn't feel quite so cookie cutter. I think that's great. All the homes are kind of offset a bit. It's not like the new construction communities where everything's just lined up perfectly, one home after another. And, you know, you look down a street and it's almost hypnotic, if you will, because everything looks pretty similar. So there's a lot of lovely character in this community. One thing that's really important to know is Philippi Creek is right there, kind of runs along Sherwood Forest, and as a result, some of the properties are in a flood zone or it's mixed. Now, let me reverse that and say all of Florida is in a flood zone, but it's just a matter of how risky it is. So flood zone X is like the good one, you know, less risky. That's what you like. But a lot of the properties here are AE. There's a mix of that, or maybe the structure's in X, but maybe the back lot's in AE. So just keep that in mind, that can become an issue for some people too. So that's, I would say, maybe the one downside. Not that it's an impossible thing to deal with, but it's definitely you need to be mindful of. Hey there, if you are not familiar with me or my videos, my name is Jill Thomas. I'm a real estate agent right here in the Sarasota area. I have been living here since 1991 and I've been licensed since 2008. And each week I like to bring videos that are hopefully a good help to you as you try to navigate these real estate waters, whether you want to purchase a property here or maybe you've got something you need to sell. So please use me as a resource. You can reach out to me, call, text, email me. And now actually down in the description, I've got a little link for Calendly where you can schedule a 30-minute phone call appointment. And so if that's a more comfortable route for you, just click on that button, pick out a time that's good for you and your schedule, and then we can chat. So that would be an awesome thing to do. Now, we've talked about the homes themselves, a little bit about the community. Now let's discuss how much this is going to cost and these carrying costs. Number 3, costs. Now, honestly, there hasn't been a whole lot of turnover in the last year or so in the community, so I don't have super specific figures for you on these things, but in general, I can safely say that to purchase a home in Sherwood Forest, it's going to run somewhere between $500,000 and $750,000. Now, none of the comps included any of the larger homes, so if you had a larger home or a property that's on a really large lot, then that number could be a bit higher, especially if the house is really updated, newer roof, things like that. But you're definitely looking at the $500 to $750 price point. The HOA dues are a modest $600 a month. Now keep in mind, there's no community pool or anything like that in this community. I think it's just to maintain roads and keep things cleaned up because there are so many trees. So if there's trees that are on like the land owned by the association, somebody's got to maintain all of that. So that's really important to be aware of. But what's lovely is that there are no CDD fees. And like I said before, if you are on a piece of property that's in a flood zone or flood zone AE, or especially if the structure's in that flood zone, then you're going to be paying a little bit more for your insurance because of that. You know, you're going to have flood insurance if you do have a mortgage. If you're paying cash, you don't have to have flood insurance at all. It's just it's up to you on whether or not you'd like to do that. Now, one downside to having all these fabulous trees in this community is when we do have big storms, these trees can come down, right? You've got, I think more than anything, sometimes in our area, it's the trees that cause more damage than sometimes the water itself. So I remember last year already in 2022 when we had Hurricane Ian. That was a pretty strong storm for us, and not so much with water and rain or flooding, but because the winds were stronger, there was a lot of tree damage. And so I remember driving through Sherwood Forest after Hurricane Ian, and there were so many trees down, and there were some streets you really couldn't get down. Like, I didn't want to be too risky or bold trying to explore after the storm, but I just remember there was huge trunks down, big branches. So if you do buy in a neighborhood where they do have all these wonderful trees, I would just say be very careful to keep those trees trimmed back. So if there is a storm and a larger branch comes down, it doesn't land on your home. It's one thing if it lands in your front yard, your backyard, and of course keep things trimmed away also from your swimming pool, or if you have a pool cage, you want to keep all that cleaned up and trimmed back. So protect your house, enjoy those trees, provides great shade, keeps your house cooler, but there's definitely a risk with that and an expense to keep those trees maintained, because you really do need, a good tree guy to come out every year or two to keep things trimmed back and keep it tidy to protect your home. So what do you think of Sherwood Forest? Is the great location and larger lots something that's really appealing to you, or is it a kind of a turnoff because maybe the potential for flooding or some of the wood frame homes, you just go, Jill, let's keep looking. there's got to be something else out there for me. So I hope this was a help to you. Let me know if you do have any questions. Like I said, click the link below. Let's schedule an appointment to chat to see what I can do to help you as you navigate these waters. And as always, I really do appreciate you watching, especially all the way to the end. Thanks so much for watching. Take care. Have a great day.